All right, let's see if this is working for the live presentation. All right, looks like it is. That's great news. All right, good. What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas, Coin Mastery TV live special edition. Welcome to the 19 or let me pop this out, pop that out, whatever you call it, 19,000 version. As I get my bearings here, I'm going to post this, tweet that out, publish that, get everyone in. As you guys roll in, make sure that you click the thumbs up, hit that thumbs up button, get this thing rocking. Say what's going on. Let me know where you're coming in from. I've got the chat box open here. I'm going to be reading these chats as we go. So, yeah, let me know where you're coming from. I'd love to hear from you guys. What a freaking morning. I was on a run, and I got back, and I opened up my phone, and it's like going nuts. So anyway, I'm here. We're doing some live. So what we're going to do today, or in the next 20 or 30 minutes, do a little Zen mode, and then we're going to look at what's going on BTC wise. We're going to look at some potential options. We're going to look at altcoins if it's even worth looking at altcoins. Otherwise, have a panic attack if I start looking at altcoins. And then really, I just want to have a conversation and let you guys know how I'm going to be doing this. Answer any questions you may have, and just try to get this thing under control. So welcome. Thank you guys for coming. Right now we're looking at GDAX. Make sure you pop something in the chat box. Say what's up. Introduce yourself. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Great to see you. Let's see who's coming in here. We got Jason from Eugene. What's up, Jason? How you doing? This is exciting. John from Kentucky. What's up, John? Love Kentucky. Had a great time in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Man, I had a great weekend there one time. Hell of a place. More fast food restaurants per capita than anywhere else in the country. I don't know if that's still true. But anyway, let's talk about some Bitcoin. Looking at GDAX, I'm going to pop this open in 15 minutes. And you can see that the charts are a little weird here. It looks like there's some sort of gap. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Maybe a death wish if I... well, I guess they're just missing some data. Whatever. So it goes. The order book is not coming in very, very quickly. Guys, look, a helpful tip if you ever want is if GDAX is not loading for you, the API is still firing in the back end. So you can always open TradingView and you can get the real-time price. So that's just like a little thing. If GDAX is ever acting up and you can't see what's going on, just pop open TradingView. Typically, they're still receiving the API data. And now you can see over here, I did a very, very, very loose Fib retracement. Now this is from the candle, or from the wick, I should say, on a 30-minute candle. So, take it for what it is. This is not necessarily where everyone would start. You may start from here, depending on where you want to see the bull run. This actually may be a little bit more helpful. But you can see it shot up. Now, the problem with this retracement, in my opinion, is that it's the same thing that happened last time. The exchanges go down. And when the exchanges go down, you don't really have a true market environment. But these levels do tend to measure emotional response pretty well. And there's so many people that are it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where there's so many people that are looking at these levels. It often becomes the level just because everyone's looking at those levels. Not always, but until the market gets bigger and bigger, it's really the name of the game. So, I truly just walked in the door, so I'm still getting a little hydrated. Let's see what's up. Joe come from Philly. What's up, Joe from Philly? How you guys doing? Net, what's up, everybody? Great. So I hope you guys are doing well. One thing that's interesting that you're seeing a lot of conversations about, or a lot of discussions about, and early on in Coin Mastery, we talked a lot about arbitrage between markets. And I actually tried to write a couple of algorithms that would arbitrage in real time. And so you may see like, oh man, Bitfinex is trading at 14.5, GDAX is trading at 16.2, right? These are both USD exchanges. So theoretically, if you had an account on both, you could arbitrage across the two. Same with Gemini and Bittrex and all that. But the problem is the reason why there's arbitrage is, one, the volatility, two, the exchanges going up and down and like going on and offline. The other thing is that there's so much network congestion. It's like the confirmation times are going to take 30, 40, 50 minutes. So you may even try to do it like where you transfer Litecoin or Ethereum across the networks and you try to exchange it and then do your arbitrage, especially with these levels. But it ends up being a lot closer than it may seem. So while, if this is something you're into, give it a shot. But it's a hard game to win just because the transaction volume is more difficult. Let's see who else we got here. Miro's from Croatia. What's up, Miro? How you guys doing? Awesome. So what is going on with this specifically? Specifically, what you guys really care about is what should you do, what should you not do. Now, I don't know why there's this gap. It must just be they lost data. So we're going to look at TradingView, and I'm going to zoom way in into the 5 minute because there's so much price action happening that this is really what matters. Now, if you guys remember last time we did a live stream, which was last week, 11,000. Now we're at what, 16,000. We were up to 19.6 or whatever it was. I should move this over to exactly on the candle. Now, this depends, right? If you do the candles, you do the wicks, whatever, we can always move this down. It changes the levels a little bit. This is more just for just getting a gauge of where we are. This is the thing, volume. This is the name of the game because this is going to show you how much support there is. And I said it last time and I'll say it again. The most important thing is how much demand is still intact whenever these dips happen. So as you see the price going down, the number one thing you want to be watching is not necessarily the price, but how much volume is being thrown at these candles in order to maintain the price where it is. And what's interesting here is that it's kind of spread out, right? It's kind of spread out over the course of, let's say, maybe an hour and a half, give or take, 90 minutes. But the actual height of the volume, if we scroll back to 1 hour candles, it's on par with some others. And obviously in this one big spike, but that's at a high. That's not necessarily at a low. What you really want is to see something like this, right? You see this spike in volume at a low candle. That's a really good buy because anytime you get this spike in volume on a low candle, I guess a wick in this case, that's when you're going to get the best prices and that's when it's going to bounce back. So in summary, to put this another way, yes, we got good volume, but it was to push the market up. So now what we want to be looking for, if you are buying blood, if you want to buy the dip, you want to look for the same thing, but it's got to be on the downward side. The question is, are we going to get that? I think we will. It's just, it might not be as severe, at least in the short term, as we're all maybe hoping for. Now, we also may get a kind of slow and zoom out. You can only see me. What's up, guys? Can you see this? Let me see. All right. I guess you guys can't see me. Let me see if check your screen capture. Let's see here. QuickTime. I'm working on this. Let me see if I can find where this is at. Let's see. How about now? Is that better, guys? Oops. Tell me if that's better. Just move the box. Is that better? Let me know. Okay, good. That's why this is a team effort, guys. You help me so I can help you. So, okay. Right. Well, learn as you go. Okay, so you see what... Oh, I see what the problem is. This is not high enough. Oh, okay. Done. Got it, guys. Here we go. Man, YouTube is just... This is what happens when I have to run to the office. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We are getting there. All hopped up on the 1600 Bitcoin crack. Did I just say that? Anyway. Boom. Hit that like button. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Benjamin from Phoenix. Smash the like button. Okay, so let's do this one more time. I appreciate you guys hanging in there, and I appreciate you guys letting me know about this so we can make this thing rock. Now, what I was saying with this volume, right? So this volume over here, which I guess you can't see my mouse pointer, but I'm looking right at, there you can see the crosshairs, like this on 1129, that candle. So you can see how that volume on the bottom, these volume bars, that was the last highest. That volume was at a high point, but it was on a dip. Now this volume is at a high point, but it's on a peak. So what we're looking for, as we said, and I'm pretty sure, okay, good, you guys can see that now. What we want to see, ideally, in a perfect situation, if we wanted to really scalp and buy blood and like do it absolutely right, what we would want is this kind of candle, but we would want to see it on a downward trend. We'd want to see it on the thing moving way down. Now, will it happen on one of these levels? I don't know. Is this even the right trend? You know, you got to measure it on different time frames to see which one, you know, and kind of gauge it. But that is the name of the game. And how do you know when it's happening in real time? Well, you zoom out and you can look at whether it be the 1 hour, you can look at the 1 day, you can look at the 5 minute, whatever. But you look historically, and if the volume is the biggest it's ever been, or at least on par with the biggest it's ever been, and it's negative descending volume, you are right in the blood zone. That's a good place to be. Not saying it's necessarily going to be a reversal. You know, you're going to need some candles, some like maybe like a bullish engulfing candle or something like that. But at least it's going to give you an idea. So in terms of price, where should we get back in? That is a good question. It seems to be hovering right around 16,000, and at least on GDAX. Let's look at the order books here, so we can look at the depth chart. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of resistance coming up. There's a pretty big, 1600 seems to have a fair amount of Bitcoin, but that's not even that much. But what always happens on these buy walls is that people just come out of the woodworks, you know, as they get online. It's happening so fast. So I think you look at the volume more than anything, you look at a pretty tight window, right? This is the only time you really look at tight windows, is when you want to see the individual volume spikes. And honestly, I mean, I think it's at this point, it's kind of everyone's best, you know, it's your guess is just as good as somebody else's. I mean, we can take a shot at it, but this is a pretty sharky water at this point. There's some people moving a lot of volume, and then the whole CBOE futures on Sunday. I mean, that's really the thing that's happening. So what am I doing? Personally, I'm not doing anything, because remember, my number one rule in crypto is don't lose money. Like, other than markets going up and down, like, you know, whatever, there's nothing you can do about that. But on a trading standpoint, when I press the buy button, I do not want to lose money on that trade. I want to be as confident as I possibly can short of the overall market. I personally am not very good at this stuff. I'm not good at making this call unless it's very clear with the volume. That's why I focus on the volume. So I let my dollar cost average do the work. I did increase my dollar cost averaging to buy every 8 hours, though. So other people do not have that. You know, you may have a different budget or a different risk tolerance or whatever, but I'm buying like pretty much 2 or 3 times a day. I'm buying Bitcoin and I'm buying Litecoin. And I'm not trying to play this one. I'm not trying to play the big one until I go on Twitter and people are talking about how they're out of Bitcoin forever. They're terrified that they'll never get back in. It's over. The whole thing was a sham. That's what I'll really load up. But until then, I'm going to hold off. The only other thing would be in altcoins. So let's talk about altcoins a little bit. While we do that, let me say hi to some people over here. Sebastian loves Dogecoin. Is it Dogecoin or is it Dogecoin or Dogecoin, or how do you pronounce it? Because I think I pronounced it wrong in a video. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but let me know. Okay, so Max is from Amsterdam. Max, I love Amsterdam. It's a great spot. Dodge. Okay, well, we're gonna call it Doji for now, just because I've been calling it Dodge. Looking at altcoins, so the first thing to do, the crypto Xanax, is to look at USD prices before you look at Bitcoin prices. Because you look at Bitcoin prices, you're going to go crawl into a hole and feel bad about yourself. And if you go on Twitter and you look at Bitcoin maximalists, they're all going to be talking about how you're a bad trader and you suck. And because, if you look at US dollars, you actually didn't make profit. You're just a loser. That's all. Give me a break, right? I compare this to what would be the difference if you invested in Cardano or Neo or Ethereum Classic versus if you put it into Apple over the last week? And for the most part, you're probably doing pretty good. So, comparing to the number, the thing that's crushing it is a really, really bad way, or a really good way to drive yourself insane. So I think that that's a big misnomer. And especially, after Monday, it was like you looked at this and everything was up 40%. So it's all relative. That being said, one thing that happens that a lot of people may be thinking about doing, because I know I've thought about doing this many times, is that you look at the price of Bitcoin and you think to yourself, Bitcoin is actually pretty expensive. And I'm not really sure about the dip, but I know that these prices are much lower. Now, US dollars, they actually may be flat or a little bit above, a little bit below, whatever. And so you have fiat, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to move this over now to the right. Oops. Sorry about that. Move that over there. You have fiat, and you're like, well, if I just buy Bitcoin and then I go buy altcoins, I'm getting them at this really good price. That is a fallacy. That is not true, because you're actually going fiat to altcoin. That is when you look at US dollars to get a deal or not. If you don't have this extension, you can get it on the Chrome extension store. It's not mine, so I don't know about what the developers do for software. It's like, what is it called? Bittrex Correct, I think, on the Chrome extension store, or Bittrex Enhanced. You can go check it out when you roll over. So make sure you don't make that mistake where you're in fiat and you see these cheap altcoins and you're like, oh, well, if I just buy right into altcoins, I'm getting a deal. That's not true. You're only getting a deal if the US dollar amount is lower than usual. Now, you're getting a deal if you go from Bitcoin to altcoin, theoretically, or at least you're buying a significant dip on the altcoin. But that's a really important thing. That's a mistake a lot of people make. All right. Let's see here. So in terms of altcoins, Mana, Decentraland, it's funny that this is doing really well because their ICO was one of the most hated on ICOs. If you guys remember, maybe you don't, their ICO sold out in like 2 seconds. Maybe not even 2 seconds, because they did a pre-sale. And I think 11 people bought up the entire ICO. And they all bought it like before it even went live or something ridiculous. So everyone was so pissed about Decentraland. And I'm not entirely sure if I remember correctly. I remember looking at this website, and if I remember, it's a currency within some sort of ecosystem. Maybe it's a game, maybe it's I don't know, something like that. But it's really funny to me because this ICO, everyone was like, oh, this is BS, blah, blah, blah. And now it's doing what it's doing. Whether or not this is legit, who knows? But that's what it is. Power Ledger is the same thing. If you guys remember, Power Ledger actually got a lot of heat because they started changing their pre-sale bonus. They had a hard time with marketing. Power Ledger came out. They started crushing it. Everyone made a lot of money. So I think that this is forcing me, and I think forcing a lot of other people, that just because you have a bad taste in your mouth about how a coin launched or had an ICO, it may actually still become a really good coin. Vice versa, they may have had an amazing ICO and the thing flops. We're going to see that over 2018. I think, especially if you guys watched any of the conference in South Korea last night that the Stellar team was at, they talked a lot about ICOs. Some of the guys I know here in San Francisco, a few of them helped found CoinList, which is the angel list for ICOs, right? It's institutional ICOs. Accredited investors can do it. Filecoin did it on that. They got a few more. They got the YouNow and props and all that coming out. And ICOs are going to be really big in 2018, but they're going to be much more legit. That's good and bad, meaning it's probably going to be more focused for accredited investors. There's probably going to be lockup periods for the tokens. It's going to be more like venture capital, but the liquidity will still be like the tokens. So keep your eye out. I think the ICOs are actually going to see some pretty interesting stuff this coming year. But I think that's the big takeaway from something like Decentraland, is that you got to stay objective about it. Ethereum just getting worked. Wow. I mean, USD, it's not that bad, but man, that BTC price, it's tough. I mean, I own a bunch of Ethereum from a long time ago. Let's just zoom out real quick here. I've always been, if you guys have been watching this, I've always been talking about how this thing was kind of running on stilts. It's kind of a house of cards because of this March run-up thing right here. If this fills in, that'll be the final nail in the coffin. Not in a bad way, but in the chart has finally retraced fully. It's worked itself out. It's traded itself through. You never know. I'm holding a fair amount of Ethereum, one, because I bought a lot of it. So, you might as well. There's no reason for me to sell it at this point, capital gains wise. But two, it's because, for all I know, Ethereum could do really well. Even if I don't love it, there's a lot of people that do love it. And one of my iron principles of life is outsource myself in every way possible, especially that. Cool. Let's see. All right. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat box. I'll help answer. I'll answer them as much as I can. Keep it above the belt. We're going to get the band hammer out. We're going to drop the hammer, which I don't want to have to do, but I'm not afraid to do it. But if you have any questions, feel free to put it in there. We're a supportive, excited, friendly group here, and we are here to rock it out. Morgan asks, why didn't you buy IOTA? It's a really good question. I didn't buy IOTA because I talked to enough people that convinced me that the software wasn't secure, that the tech wasn't up to par compared to other investments, and that the market cap was overinflated. Now, I obviously missed one of the best runs of the last month by not buying it. So for anybody who did, congratulations, and I hope you bought enough to go buy a house and 7 yachts. I truly do. But that's why I didn't buy it. And I trust the people I talk to. And whatever the future holds for IOTA, the market and the product will do it. But that's the only reason why. I'm going to, or I have been looking into it more because I want to prove myself wrong on that. But that's why. All right. Let's see. What's my plan for the day the futures come out? Adam, great question, Adam. So there's two main dates. Sunday, the 10th, the afternoon, I believe, is the CBOE futures. Okay, so CBOE is the biggest options house. A week later, the Monday following, the 18th, is in CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. CBOE next week is smaller, but it's the first run. CME is much, much bigger, but it's going to have a week of data to already work at. So next Sunday, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to buy a huge bag of popcorn. I'm going to pop all that popcorn, and I'm going to sit in front of my computer, and I'm just going to slowly eat it. So, but seriously, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to set some really low bids, but this is a really good situation where trying to react to markets is a really, really good, trying to predict markets is a really good way to lose your money. And if any of you guys are in groups like Telegram groups or Reddit groups, or not, or just on Reddit or 4chan, get off 4chan, don't say that. Discord, Twitter, you see people who are trying to bet on what they should do next are often the people that are having a lot of ups and downs, are having a hard time. The people that react to what happens, or they predict based on news that's very, very high probability, those are the people that over time make a lot of money. This is a good situation where nobody knows, myself included. And when I don't know something, or I don't have a very high level of confidence in something, I just wait and see, and I build out the plan for how I could benefit. How could I benefit? If the futures come out and it's massive bearish sentiment, and every headline across every media outlet is that futures are trying to tank the market and people start selling off, I can buy the dip. If it's going to go up, maybe I get a little bit more Bitcoin exposure leading up to that, but really just prepared either way. At this point, if it drives the price way up, doing nothing really is the plan other than dollar cost averaging in. If it drives the price way down, have my orders ready. But I think it's really important to let these things play out, or at least give it like 48 hours to play out. Let the dust settle. It's so hard to try to make money on the volatility, on the uncertainty, especially when we've got exchanges crashing. We don't have the software that these guys have. They are coming. They're trading on a cash settled area, right? So they have different liquidity pools. They have different ways to trade it. It's also built on different time frames of different hours, things like that. So, I know what I know, and I also know what my strengths are. Day trading, high frequency trade, that is not my strength. So I don't try to do it. Let's see here. PG Go asks, is Coinbase at some point liable for always crashing? Any thoughts on Vertcoin or Quantum? Two questions. First one, is Coinbase at some point liable for always crashing? They're liable if they, for example, like the flash crash that happened with Ethereum a couple months ago. Remember back when it flash crashed down to $9 and it got filled? This happened on Bitfinex a couple days ago with Neo, especially with the margin stuff. They technically are not liable, but they did take responsibility for that. And the reason why is because it's for branding and for credibility and all that. It's a growing exchange. But when you sign up and you sign your terms of service, unfortunately, legally speaking, as long as they are putting every piece of effort into it, if the exchange goes down, the exchange goes down. And that's it. If there's a flash crash, it's a different story. So the short answer is they're not liable. What I can tell you is that just by meeting some of these guys in San Francisco, that there is a huge opportunity cost for them to have any downtime, to have speed issues, to have bad publicity. So they are trying harder than anyone. The amount of traffic that's coming in, I'm not defending them. I'm just saying this is just what it is. So it goes. Any thoughts on Vertcoin or Quantum? Vertcoin, I think Vertcoin is a good example of a coin that is really popular with developers, with crypto enthusiasts, with people that understand blockchain, people that get crypto, that maybe don't like, big hypey, coins that have big marketing budgets or anything. It's kind of the people's coin, right? That's the tagline of it. And it also is very, functional. It's great for atomic swaps. It's very kind of fast and effective. It's yet to be determined if a coin like that is going to be one of the ones that survives, right? And as I look at something like Vertcoin, I start to say, what is this competing with? And if it's competing with something like Litecoin or not really Stellar Lumens, but Bitcoin Cash to a certain extent, what's going to win? Litecoin's got a really big head start right now, especially with the story and by being on Coinbase. So that's the way I look at Vertcoin. I do not own any Vertcoin. I've been looking at it. I think it's solid. And Charlie Lee obviously likes it, the founder of Litecoin. So that's good. Quantum. Quantum's interesting, but I think that with Quantum is that it doesn't have the it factor for me. And what I mean by that is that, so last week I went to a meetup with the Stellar team and then Dong, the founder of Neo, and he was talking about Quantum. And then last night watched the guy from Quantum at the conference with Jed. Smart guy, obviously. He's super passionate about what he's doing, but he's just building kind of this like a better mousetrap of Ethereum, but with more bells and whistles. And I don't mean that in any sort of like patronizing way. I just mean it in, there's no thing that makes it that much better than everything else. Maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe there's some partnership. Maybe there's some deal he's doing, whatever. But Don kind of said the same thing about it. And they're friends. Like they're homies. But he was kind of like, Quantum's just, I hope they do well, but here's what it is. So that's how I feel about that. At the same time, I think China and coins in China that are early are going to have a very good 2018. Which ones? It's hard to know. I don't know if it's going to be Neo or Quantum or Walton Chain or Ven Chain or any of these Chinese coins. But so it goes. Let's see here. Whoops. What do I think about Litecoin? I like Litecoin, to be perfectly honest. And the reason why is really simple. This is just because the pure marketer hedge in me. Switch this back over here so we can look at this while we're talking. Whoops. I like Litecoin purely because it's the cheapest option on Coinbase. It's obviously a great tech. I like it because when 100,000 people sign up a day, and let's say 5,000 of those people actually buy something, price is the ultimate decider in buying activity. When you look at all social psychology, when you look at all consumer psychology, price is everything. And when you're looking at something that's $16,845 versus something that's trading at whatever it is, $97 right now, a vast majority of retail investors will buy the cheaper one just because they can own more of it. There's a psychological, they think that the chances of that going 5x is way higher in their mind than something like Bitcoin going 5x, even if it's not the case. So that is the primary reason why I like Litecoin. 2 is that they're getting started on their marketing. And if they can nail their marketing, they have a very compelling pitch. And what that is that as Bitcoin grows and becomes the storage of wealth, there is going to be a void in the story of Bitcoin, which is going to be the currency thing. Right? Bitcoin Cash trying to do that. I'm not sure Bitcoin Cash is going to succeed at that. Litecoin can easily step into that. And if they do it right, they go to the right institutional investors. They are big enough. They have the credibility and they have the story and the tech, which is most important, where they can walk into an investor and it's easy for people to say, oh, Bitcoin's the storage of wealth. Litecoin's the actual transaction. It's fast. It's got Lightning. It's got SegWit. It's got everything going for it. It's got atomic swaps. It can do all these things that a currency really should be prepared to do. So I like that over 2018 for those 2 reasons. It's cheaper than Bitcoin and the story is compelling if they can nail it. And I hope they can. I think that they certainly could. I'm going to reach out to them and hope maybe I can help them with their marketing and branding or whatever, but that's what I like. All right, let's see here. Stellar Lumens. Michael Gregory, what do you think of Stellar Lumens? I love it. I think it's great. I own a bunch. Obviously, so there's a lot of rumors. December there being a lot of news. Last night Jed got up there. He basically said they're working with IBM and they've got 30 banks lined up that want to do it all, that want to use Stellar Lumens or are using it already in test nets. You can go on their test net or dev servers. It's all public, and watch the test transactions going through. It's like dozens of currencies. That to me bodes really, really well. I think that's really interesting. After meeting them, I just like that. I like what they're doing. I like that they get it. I really like lightweight tech for what they're trying to solve. I like the low fee stuff. I think it's interesting. I think that cross-border payments in places like Asia and Africa is a huge industry. There is a major pain point to solve. It's a real world problem, and it's a very lucrative problem that they're in a good position to solve. And I also think Jed has the credibility, and he knows the game. He knows the business game. He knows the crypto game. I'm bullish on them. Very bullish on them. All right, let's see. What other questions? We'll do a couple more, and then we will wrap this up. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. We do these, try to do a live stream every week. And, videos every day, Monday through Friday, of course. Jean-Paul asks, what about decentralized exchanges? I'm not totally sold on decentralized exchanges yet. And the reason why is I think liquidity is a much, much bigger deal than decentralization. This could obviously change as geopolitics change, as regulations change. But I think that it's way more important to be able to have huge order books, full order books, a lot of price liquidity for any particular coin than it is to be able to go somewhere and transact in an anonymous, decentralized, trustless way. I could be totally wrong on this, but history would tell me that liquidity is really king for the most part. And if they can figure out decentralization and liquidity, then I'm really stoked about decentralization. I think 0x is really, really interesting. I think what Neo is doing with their decentralization is going to be interesting. BitShare has obviously been around for a while. And there's a whole host of decentralized exchanges. But if they can figure this out, I think it's really interesting. I think the other interesting piece is the use cases of decentralized exchanges. So some of the apps that are built on top of 0x, one's called like Radar Relay and the Ocean and all these. If they can create really good use cases for the decentralized exchanges, that's not just us exchanging stuff the way we do on Bittrex, but a fund or a family office wants to buy something OTC, or they want to have a place to go where they can do customized trustless orders without having to go on the order books. That's interesting in a lot of ways. Whether or not that's really a long-term and viable high transaction use case for a coin, meaning I don't know how much transaction fees it could generate for the currency, which would affect the price. That's yet to be determined, but yeah, I don't know. I think liquidity is the thing right now, and I don't see that changing unless regulations make centralized exchanges a big problem. Let's see here. What's up, guys? What about I don't know much about Particle. Back over 17,000. Yeah, here we go. Man, this thing is just crazy. All right, well, let's see here. I will do, I'm going to wrap this up, keep it, stop there. I think, I will say this. Anything is possible with these prices. We've seen this chart before. Rock it out. Thank you guys for joining me today. Always a pleasure. I'll see you next time. Peace out.